Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. So honestly, this is a video that I didn't really want to have to make, and up to the release of this game I had pretty high hopes for TDU Solar Crown. Did I expect it to be up to the standard of the original two, which are still very much beloved today, myself included in that category? Absolutely not. I just wanted it to be a competent open world racer that kind of brought back that nostalgic feel for a series that really needed a sequel. However, ever since the game launched, it's been out currently for 2 weeks for Gold Edition players and around about a week for the standard release. So the game's pretty much been available for 2 whole weeks, and in that time it's been a massive mess. So if you've been living under a rock, you might not know about the controversy surrounding the Gold Edition upon its actual release. For the first couple of days, it was almost impossible for anybody to actually get into the game, meaning that there is a couple of days wasted on the 7-day early access. And then when things actually smoothed out a bit and people could get in the game, even with, errors galore, they ended up putting it into maintenance mode, which lasted much longer than originally intended. I believe anywhere in the range of 8 to 12 hours the actual servers of the game were down. So that's pretty much another entire day that was completely wasted for Gold Edition players. In the end, they did turn around and say that they were going to compensate players, mainly the Gold Edition players, however get around to the full release of the game and the servers were still incredibly unstable, even for the worldwide release of the game, with every single edition being available. So for someone like me that's been playing since the first day one release of the Gold Edition, that is 13 days with majorly bugged servers. On top of that, we also have the controversy surrounding graphical issues, and in general the game just not feeling like it was ready for release. So yesterday we did end up with a bit of a glimmer of hope, with the game once again going into maintenance mode, and in hope the devs were aiming to fix some of the key core issues. Those being of course the servers, which have been massively controversial, things like discovery locations not ticking off, and road discovery not actually counting. This is a bug that I've got on both of my playthroughs, so in terms of my PlayStation, it is pretty much entirely written off by the fact that I cannot discover some of the locations, meaning that I have to drive all the way across the map every single time just to get one location. For when I actually go off the game, it will entirely reset, as well as the road discovery as well, which is a massive shame because I've pretty much found every road, but it is stuck at 99%. No matter where I drive and no matter what I do, it just won't tick over. However, roll on to the launch after maintenance, it went on a little bit longer than expected, but honestly that's not necessarily a problem. I would rather the maintenance go on a little longer and the game function as intended, but it didn't do that at all. Yes, these servers are working, we can finally see players in the hotel and some of the workshops as well as the clans, and of course out on the open road. So it does seem that the servers were fixed, but the bugs still remained. But the bad news didn't end there. Of course, today should have been the launch of Season 1, allowing players to rank up and earn new cars, credits, etc. But it just didn't happen. As you can see from the official TDU Solar Crown Twitter account, we did end up with this tweet: server maintenance is now complete, servers are accessible again, thank you for your patience. Of course, they did tweet out that it was taking longer than expected, but as you can see, unfortunately there was an extra message. To better prepare for the first official season of Solar Crown Live, we have decided to postpone its launch until October 2nd. This will also allow us to release our first major patch a few days before the season begins, ensuring optimal conditions are met. Now sometimes these things happen, but for me this is just more bad news to a game that desperately needed a full fix as soon as possible, as well as actually kickstarting that season. There is some core issues that I'm going to talk about in a separate video with this game, where a lot of the features in game are just entirely wasted or completely irrelevant even on launch. Main things like ranked races, instant challenges, and even really the clan system feels like a complete waste of time in terms of features that are currently in game. And again, with Season 1 not actually launching when it's intended to, does this really give me hope for the rest of the kind of major post-launch content that they're actually promising? At that point, it would have been around about 4 weeks into the game's full release since the Gold Edition that the season actually launches. that doesn't really fill someone like me with hope that the game's ever really going to work as intended to. Of course, it probably will eventually, but definitely in the short term, where you should be building up your loyal player base and getting fans really excited for the game, things being delayed already just shows to me that this game was never ever ready for launch, and the damage may already just be done. Now, ever since the controversies surrounding the servers, a lot of players have turned their back on this game, and obviously for good reason. If you've purchased a product and it's not working as it was intended to, then of course you're just going to turn around and say, well, that is an absolute waste of time, and why should I ever give it my money or time of day again? And in terms of the play count, that has absolutely plummeted to some very, very low levels. And considering this game has really only been available fully to everyone for one single week, that is absolutely dire news. I'm honestly starting to get the feeling that the developers might have took on a project that is just too big for them. They are not the biggest team in the world, and obviously TDU Solar Crown is a pretty big project. One thing that's really worrying me is that a bunch of that post-launch content that they kind of promised over the next year just will never ever happen. Of course, if they're making promises that the game will have this, that and the other, casinos, new islands, and they're already delaying things because the original release just isn't as intended, then really what hope have we got of that content actually coming out? My biggest fear is that this game will end up abandoned by the developers and will end up in even more controversy as a massive scam. Of course, if they don't end up delivering that post-launch content and things that they promised don't happen with the game, or they just silently kill it off sooner rather than later, I do have the fear that we'll never see another Test Drive Unlimited game again. And who knows, even after all this controversy, maybe the series itself could be entirely dead in the water, and we'll probably never see another title under the TDU name. Now, I'm a person of patience. I've been as patient as possible over the launch. Even when the servers didn't work properly, I still went ahead and gave it a chance. Of course, I've made content on the game, and when it runs properly, I have actually been really enjoying it. Is it a good open world arcade racer? Absolutely. Is it a good TDU title? Not necessarily, at least yet. So even someone like me who has the absolute patience of a saint, and I will give any game the time of day, and I understand that things have bugs and issues, I really feel like I'm kind of at the end of that. At the end of the day, they should have been pushing out the fixes sooner rather than later, and the game should have kind of worked as intended to, considering they did hint that the possibility of these server issues could have been a thing even prior to the game's Gold Edition launch, let alone the worldwide release. So could this tweet right here end up seeing the, I guess, downfall of TDU Unlimited? Who knows? At the end of the day, I'm probably going to have to take a break from the game until that season starts, and hopefully this patch really makes a massive difference, or else this game could be fully dead on arrival. Anyway, that's it from me today. Don't forget to let me know what you think of TDU Solar Crown down below. Take care, guys. Peace.